this is Bill Gosline, creator of Baby Barbarian and the Player's Throne. And today I am interviewing our very own Igor Wolski. He's the artist who did the book. Hey, Igor, how are you?
Hi, nice to see you. Nice to finally, talk in person about this.
Yeah. So, what can you tell us a little bit about what is your professional experience? You know, I was really drawn to your art because I've seen your opus or your body of work for years, and so I know you have a pretty extensive body of work. You want to share what that is with everyone?
Well, I was always interested in comics. I've been doing comics since I was a very little kid. I was pretty sure that drawing comics is gonna be my profession. I had a specific plan for it when I was 6 years old. When I was 14, I started actively drawing every day because I started publishing a webcomic. Since then, I've met a lot of people from the webcomic community. We banded together, started working on projects together. Few years later, we started publishing our things on paper. And ever since then, I've been actively drawing all day, every day. Ever since I finished high school, it has also been my profession. I worked in video games, I worked in board games, movies, commercials, newspaper illustrations, and of course, comics. Mostly I drew comics for Polish, I guess, underground stuff. What I mean by underground is just, nothing published by bigger publishing houses, but don't imagine anything, very...
Is there anything in particular that people might have encountered your work with outside of Poland? Like either video games or board games, or besides Baby Barbarian, of course.
I can't say I worked on anything particularly famous. From more known things, I've done covers for the comic book versions of Adventure Time or Regular Show. From movies, I worked on a movie called Another Day of Life, which has won the award for... now I don't remember exactly, but it did won award for the best animated movie at the European Movie Festival back 3 years ago, I guess. It was a joint project between Poland, France, and a few other countries.
Wow,
I don't know. I've done a little bit of work for the Boston Globe, for example. But it all has been little bits here and there of things. What I like to be mostly known for are my illustrations that I put on the internet.
Yeah, well, that's what captivated my attention for sure. Can I ask you what other artists have influenced your work?
Definitely at the beginning of my career, it has been Stan Sakai. Mostly known for the Usagi Yojimbo series. Definitely gotten a lot from him when I was developing my style, pretty much learning. Another person is Bill Watterson of Calvin and Hobbes, who definitely, looking at his things, taught me a lot about the flow of art, like the looseness of how you can draw it, because he had very like paintbrush and ink type of a style that was very loose, very flowy, very imaginative, which I loved. And the third person that definitely had a big impact of me, that was, I guess, the finishing step of the trifecta of influences for me, was an artist called Patrick Boutin. I'm not even sure. I never actually read any of his comic work. I just knew him. I just know him from DeviantArt. I followed his work a lot back around 2008, 2010. And well, just by checking his stuff out, I learned a lot.
I was wondering, when I approached you to do Baby Barbarian, you have a lot of other gigs or offers or work going on. In Baby Barbarian, because, it's fairly long, it requires a certain amount of effort. What was about the project itself was, enticing to you or made you want to participate and be the artist for it?
Well, when we started working on Baby Barbarian, I was doing a lot of different small things that I wasn't particularly really having fun with. Mostly, bigger corporate things. And the most fun comic work or artwork in general is working on like proper passion projects, right? Something that's important for someone, something that someone put a lot of work in. At the same time, it's incredibly tough to find work like this, which is creator also actually has the resources to follow through with it. Because usually when someone has a great idea, they're gonna approach you, hey, I have a great idea, do you want to work on it? But yeah, I don't have any really real way to compensate you for it or anything like this. I would love to just be able to work for free on everything that sounds fun for me, but it just is not possible, right? You have to feed yourself, you have to pay for stuff. So very often with a hurting heart, I gotta say to things like this, well, I'm really sorry, this sounds amazing, I'm not really looking forward to sleeping in a tent throughout the entire process. When we first started talking, you sent me the script. It all sounded really fun. When I read the script, I actually had a lot of ideas already just from reading it. Had a lot of visuals already showing in my head that seemed really, really fun to me. So I just jumped on board. It sounded great.
Yeah, when you sent me the character designs, I was like, oh my God, this guy totally gets it. It was exactly what I had seen in my head, you know what I mean? Was right there on the page. It was really incredible. And I think, it's really, for me personally, it's really amazing to work with an artist who you really know is somehow inhabiting the same world as you. You know what I mean? I mean, it's kind of bizarre because, well, I guess, we kind of live in our imaginations, right? Writers and artists, and we happen to live in the same fantasy imagination world. So added to that question, what was your process to sort of develop the characters and the world itself? I mean, you've put so many things in the picture that I didn't indicate. Some of the things I indicated should be in the frames, but you put so many other things. Like, I mean, just the opening shot of Lethome, where there's a shark somehow secured to a thatch roof. Some people are like, what is that all about? I say, well, that's just Igor being Igor. But can you, is there any way you can sort of explain your process, or is that just secret
Oh
stuff?
no, of course. I mean, the process is a lot of time spent in the shower, because this is where most of my thinking is happening. Usually setting up the actual scene, the characters and everything, it's a very quick process. I think I've been doing comics long enough to kind of instinctively figure out, what's the proper positioning, framing, yada 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 for a scene. But what I like to think about it after it, during the entire process, is what else can I stick in that frame? What is gonna be happening around it, or everywhere around it? Something I really don't like, and this is kind of a conflict of mine, because comics often should be putting clear information before, getting it stuffed with things. But I love details and I love putting it in there. So I always have to figure out how to kind of put these two things together. But when I was starting drawing Baby Barbarian, I just finished working on my pet project called Night Janek, that has been published in Poland last year. That was in a fairly similar setting. It's also a fantasy comic in a fantasy town about this knight traveling the world, just helping people in need. It's an absurd comedy. And something I've done throughout that entire story was just filling every single frame I could with background jokes. So little gnomes sitting in the bushes with stupid faces, dogs stealing things in the background. So this was when I jumped into Baby Barbarian. This was like a natural, just jumping into familiar waters. I was right at home with this.
Yeah, no, I think that's interesting that you said, of course, the art needs to carry the action. But I think for me, when I was writing this and when I was thinking about it conceptually, and one of the reasons why I wanted to work with you particularly was because of the level of detail. There's so much work out there. And what I really wanted to, what I really want for this project is that, there's a story, but how remember Where's Waldo?
Yeah.
So you look at every page and you define this one person, but while you're doing that, you're seeing so many other things. And so each page can be kind of captivating, and that's what I was, trying to do with Baby Barbarian, where the story is all through there, but there's other narratives happening in the picture. And I think that's something that is needed by comics now. I mean, personally, I don't know, maybe I'm just wired differently. Well, I know that, but.
Well, it's definitely a fun thing to have, right? Not every comic needs it, but it's when it fits the story, I think it can do a lot.
That's the nice thing about fantasy, right? Is the world. Yeah, is the world building. Okay, Igor. So I'm wondering, besides Baby Barbarian, what has been your most exciting and or gratifying project to date?
That's definitely the comic I mentioned already, Night Janek, Rycerz Janek in Polish. It's a project I started in 2007, actually. That was the first short little story with that character I've done.
Wow.
It was for a magazine me and a bunch of friends put together and banded together to publish. So at the same time, this was our first thing ever published on paper. When we started publishing this magazine, we would do a new issue every year for about 7 or 8 years. And in the first, I think, 4 or 5 episodes, I would have a short comic with this character. But it was ages ago. It was tiny little comics where I could barely draw. But in the back of my head, and also 2 of my friends who joined me during the process of this, joined me on writing the story. We had this idea for a big issue of his adventures. In the year 2008, we've done a full feature comic with him, but still, it was very tiny publishing, very, very tiny amount of copies made, nothing official. And that's it. And after that, we had an idea for a proper big album. And we had this idea for ages. And the script has been written at some point. I never had time to draw it because back then I just finished high school. I started working. I couldn't really connect work with working on this. So the script was laying there waiting, was rewritten a bunch of times. And finally, when I started working freelance, I took the script, I read through it again. I pinpointed everything that I thought was too old, too weird, gotta be changed. I approached my friends that, guys, I can do this now. but we gotta update this because we wrote it when we were like 10 years younger, but we gotta do this. And we've done it. We started working on it in 2016 or 17, I think. And we finally got it published last year because it took me about 3 years to draw.
That's awesome.
It looks like this. It's pretty big. It's about 70 pages.
Wow.
It's a little bit bigger than A4. And it is, I put my heart and soul into it because I did not spare any, I did not spare any details in it. And there's a few illustrations on the inside too.
Did you color it as well?
Yeah, and I mean, no. It's been colored by my good friend and another great Polish artist called Tomasz Grządziela, who I also work a lot with.
God, those look great, man.
So yeah, this is definitely up to date my biggest accomplishment.
Is it so you said it's fantasy. Is it humorous? Is it, you know, sort of like slapstick?
Oh, it's completely an absurd comedy.
Okay.
And it's very often been compared to the humor of Terry Pratchett books, and I think it's pretty accurate.
Is there any plan to have that be released in English?
Can't say anything right now, but 99% yes, and pretty soon.
Wow.
So yeah, nothing official yet, but pretty sure yet.
That's great. I really look forward to seeing it. I actually saw that as part of your work, you know, when recently. Yeah, it looks great, Igor. Looks great.
Thank you.
Well, thank you for doing this,
Sure.
for talking with me, and thanks for taking on the art duties of Baby Barbarian.
Well,
and
it was my pleasure.
Yeah, it's been so much fun working with you. And if anyone is interested, we are actually running the Kickstarter right now, Baby Barbarian and the Player's Throne, and we will have a link to that in wherever this video is embedded. Thank you very much. Good
Thank
hunting.
you.
What are you working on right now?
Right now, I literally just started a new project that I also been secretly fantasizing about starting for a good 5 or 6 years. I literally just drew the first page, and it's gonna be about 120 pages. So it's probably gonna take the next 5 or 6 years of my life. But I'm very excited to start it. Yeah. And if anyone's interested in checking it out, most of it I'm gonna be drawing live on Twitch. Right. Every Tuesday and Thursday on twitch.tv/Wolski_Igor.
Oh wow! So those pictures are a part of a larger project.
Yeah. Well, at least the ones that I've been recently showing.
Yeah. And are you writing that yourself?
Oh yeah. I spent the entire last year and a half writing it.
Wow, I'm excited to see that. Well, please make some time for Baby Barbarian part 2.
Sure. We'll have to work it all out.
Okay, right on, Igor. Have a great day. Thanks, man.
Thank you. You too.